What's up guys, I'm doing another Zippo video today, and in this video I'm gonna discuss various different Zippo finishes and kind of go over my collection of Zippos. Excuse the background noise of the fan. I actually have it set on low, but it's just so hot that I need the fan on or I'm gonna start sweating like crazy. Anyway, back on topic. I don't really consider myself a Zippo collector. Throughout the years I've accumulated quite a few Zippos, either through buying them or getting them as gifts from friends. And I've also, given away several Zippos as well. And I'm gonna try and go in the same order that I got the Zippos, although, honestly I don't really remember it all that well. My first Zippo I got when I was in high school, like just the very beginning of high school, so that was many years ago, like almost 10 years I'd say. And it was actually a slim Zippo, and it was a slim high polish chrome Zippo, and I think if anyone's back from the old Zippo Tricks day, possibly one of the first tricks that I ever submitted was using that slim Zippo. I'm actually curious to see if I can actually find that video. I believe the trick was 360 finger flip. I'm not entirely sure. That trick itself is actually on the channel. But that Zippo I ended up giving away to one of my friends. I'm not sure why. I think it was for her birthday. I just ended up giving her that Zippo. Because by that time I had already gotten another one. And let me see if I can find it. Should be in this one. I have it in a Mood Indigo tin, but it's actually a plain black matte finish. Let me see if I can get it out. This Zippo actually has quite a bit of sentimental value to me, and you can see it used to be my main Zippo tricking Zippo. You can kind of see where the matte finish paint is starting to wear off, and you have that typical underbite that you get from dropping the Zippo onto the floor. A lot of my Zippos actually have it just because of tricking. Yeah, this has sentimental value to me because I don't remember if it was in 2003 when there was that really big blackout on the East Coast. Back then I didn't carry a flashlight, and I had the Zippo on me when I was working in an office building in Bowling Greens in Manhattan, and I think I was on like the 24th or the 26th floor. And when the blackout first started, it was just when I was getting off of work. It was like the last day of my summer job. And apparently the emergency stairs, the fire stairs, didn't have any emergency lighting until you got down to like the 5th floor. And no one on our floor had a flashlight. And eventually, after just sitting around there for half an hour waiting for someone to either come with a flashlight or, waiting for someone to find a flashlight, I just thought, you know what, I have a lighter, forget it. I'm just gonna go down the stairs in the dark with this lighter, lit and lighting up the staircase. And eventually what happened was a large group of people actually followed me. It was kind of funny because, back then I was still basically a little kid, and I had like a group of adults following me. Some of them started using their cell phones, back when the screens were like tiny flip phone screens, or they were using like Bic lighters or some cheap butane lighter to light their way down. So, after that happened, I went out and I got myself another Zippo to trick with instead, just because this kind of has sentimental value for me. After that blackout happened, that's when I first started really getting into flashlights, and I started carrying a flashlight with me every day. But in terms of the matte finish, I've actually had two Zippos in matte finish, this black matte as well as a red matte Zippo that my friend gave me. Unfortunately with that Zippo, it's actually the only Zippo I've ever really broken to the point where I couldn't use it. And what happened was, it actually cracked around where this top spot weld is on the cap, so that this cap was completely loose. And honestly, I just never got around to sending it to Zippo. I still have it somewhere in storage at home, and maybe I'll send it in one day, but I have plenty of Zippos that I really don't need to send it in. The matte finish is actually pretty good for tricking. What it is it's slightly grippy, but not so much that you can't do fast manipulations. The only problem is it's not a very durable finish in my opinion. With my Zippos, I normally don't keep it in pockets with keys or anything, but if you were to keep this in a pocket with spare change or keys, it's gonna wear out very quickly. So I just keep it in a tin, just because, like I said, it has sentimental value for me. I want to try and keep it in as good of condition as possible. The next Zippo I got, I don't even remember if, I don't even know if they still sell Zippos in these plastic cases. But the next Zippo I got was a Satin Chrome. And for a while, this was, because I stopped using the black Mat Zippo, this was the Zippo that I used for a lot of my tricks. I would not recommend this finish to someone who's a beginner to Zippo tricks. And you can see I have a vector jet insert. One note, I'm not a big fan of these. I don't know if I have a lemon. People really like these inserts, but I find that they're not very reliable. The soft flame insert I feel is much more reliable, and I got one recently that I'll get to later. But back to this finish, because of this finish, a lot of people are mistaken and they think that the high chrome finish will give you a very slick Zippo, like a very slick Zippo, and that's not really the case. If you understand, friction, static and kinetic friction and all that, then something that's a high polished chromed finish actually is relatively tacky in your fingertips, and that's because you have less surface area exposed because it's such a high polish that it's just completely smooth, and your fingertips have oils and moisture on them naturally. So what'll happen is, with a high polished chrome, it'll actually stick a little bit. Like, I don't know if you ever tried just taking your fingers and going across like a pane of glass. It sticks there. There's quite a bit of friction. But with something like this Satin Chrome finish, it's almost like a very, very fine bead blast finish. And honestly, this is one of the slickest Zippo finishes that I've ever encountered. It actually takes quite a bit of technique and grip to actually hold on to the Zippo when you're tricking with this. And I feel like this isn't good for beginners because of how slick it is. It's very easy to fly out of your hands. I also have a underbite on this as well, and I've dropped this several times. But because it's so slick, like doing tricks like squeezes where it requires some friction, it can easily just fly out of your hands if you're not prepared for it and you try and do a squeeze. The only other Zippo that I'd say comes even close to the speed of a Satin Chrome is the brushed finish. And the brush finish is also the same way. Because of that brushed finish on it, it increases the surface area. Rather, it decreases the amount of surface area that your fingertips will touch at any given time. The only thing that really saves the brushed chrome from just flying out of your hands completely is that it's just the surface of the faces of the Zippo that's brushed, and then the edges are actually high polish chrome. I had one of those and I ended up giving it to my RA in college, my residential assistant, just because he was a smoker and he needed a lighter, so I just gave him that. So yeah, I definitely would not suggest satin finishes for beginners, although if you want to improve and you want to go into the next level of speed with, spin manipulations, then I would highly recommend this because there's almost no friction when you're going in between your fingers, and it's just so fast, but it's not something that you can easily learn off of. And actually the finish is relatively durable. I'm not sure if you can make it out. There are some scratches on here from when I put it in my pocket with, keys and whatnot. But overall, like, the finish has held up really well. There aren't really like any deep gouges or anything. This one was made in 02. So yeah, but this was my second Zippo, and this is the Zippo I used for a large majority of my time spent on zippotricks.com. Okay, next up. And like I said before, I also had a red mat that I really didn't do much in terms of tricks because the lid broke off on, and I had a brushed chrome. So then what happened was, zippotricks.com got shut down by, the company Zippo, and eventually Morton, the founder of the zippotricks.com site, we kind of went underground. We had an underground community and all, and he kind of announced that, I'm gonna come out with a new site, and it became lightertricks.com. Unfortunately, the lightertricks.com of today is completely different than the lightertricks.com of yesteryear, I suppose. I feel like just the community is just not as good and the quality isn't as good anymore. But yeah, that's just my personal opinion. Honestly, I haven't been on there for so long, I'm not even sure if recording limit, we'll just join these halves. But like I said, I'm not even sure if lightertricks.com still exists. But in celebration of lightertricks.com reopening, I went ahead and I decided I would get a new Zippo. And what I really wanted, and what I wanted for a long time, was the black ice finish. It's a PVD finish, and I've come to find that it's one of my favorite Zippo tricking finishes, just because it's relatively quick, but it's also very tacky in your fingers. So it makes tricks like squeezes very simple. And when you're doing spin manipulations, because it sticks so well to your fingers, you won't drop your Zippo as much. The store I went to was a store that my friend was working at the time in Manhattan, and they didn't have the black ice in stock, but they had the Mood Indigo, which I think is a very nice finish. It's like a purplish blue hue looking Zippo. I really like the color. It reminds me of a limited edition Zippo Click Zippo that came out obviously with the Zippo Click Collectors Club, except that was like a much lighter blue color. Kind of want one of those, but anyway. PVD finishes are my preferred Zippo finishes for tricking now. They hold up relatively well. You can kind of see in this corner here, there are some like scratch marks where some of the color is wearing out from keys, but the overall finish itself has held up really well, and they just look really nice. They have like a very deep look to them, and like a very shiny deep look to them, which I really like. You can see here it also has the underbite. The underbite is basically from when you're dropping the Zippo. What happens is it'll land on the lid, and then it'll just push the entire hinge plate out a little bit, and that's when you get the underbite. Okay, what else is here? Oh, here's also a blue Mat Zippo. Did I say I only had 2 mats? I also have a blue Mat Zippo that my friend gave me for my birthday. It's basically new. The sticker's gone, but you can see from the insert, it's the original insert. It's never been used. Like I said before, matte finishes are pretty nice, but they're not the most durable finishes. I like this, but I'm gonna keep this as new. It was a gift, and I guess it's part of my collection, even though I'm not really a collector. I don't know, maybe eventually I'll give this to one of my coworkers, because he's actually thinking about getting a Zippo. Let's see what else. What's in here? Oh no, let's go in order. Eventually I got the black ice. I made a video and actually gave one of these away to, I think, my 100th subscriber. It's amazing to think I'm at like 1,800 subscribers now. But I think it was like within the last 2 years. I bought 2 of these off of Amazon. Like I said, it has, it's a very shiny look. Much shinier than what pictures show, just because photography can't really capture how the PVD finish looks. And excuse me. And like I said, like when I bought this Zippo, I said, you know what, this is gonna be my nice everyday carry. I'm not gonna trick with it because I already have a PVD finish that I can trick with in the Mood Indigo. I ended up tricking with it. I ended up dropping it, and this also has the underbite. It's for me, really, like, just because I don't smoke, like, the only time I ever use a lighter is to do Zippo tricks, or maybe if someone else needs a lighter. And just if I carry a lighter, I just have the temptation to do tricks with it. And doing squeezes and stuff, I'm not gonna drop the lighter. I've become proficient enough where I can do most of the squeezes without dropping the lighters. But it's when you start doing aerials and complicated spin tricks that you end up dropping them and ruining them, I suppose. Well, I mean, not ruin them, but it does kind of ruin the finish and fit of the lighter. You can always bend it back. I've done that in the past. You can only do it so many times before you end up breaking the hinge, though. And then this is actually one of my favorite Zippos. Is the Black Crackle. It's supposed to replicate the finish of World War II era Zippos, where it's like a really thick paint that's like oven baked onto it. I really like it. I actually really like it for tricking, just because when your fingers are dry, it's relatively slick, but when your hand starts getting a little sweaty, it's you kind of get a better grip over it. This Zippo and this Mood Indigo Zippo is what you see in most of my Zippo tricking videos, and I'd say these are my top 2 favorite finishes for Zippos, for Zippo tricking. And in this one, I actually have the Thunderbird butane insert. I believe it's made also by Vector. And I actually prefer this over the jet one. The jet one I found very unreliable and it wouldn't light all the time, but this soft flame one has been lighting like every time, and it's great. And honestly, I might get a few more of these because I simply don't have the patience or the time to carry a fuel, like a liquid fuel lighter anymore, just because, like I said, I don't smoke, so I don't really need the lighter, you know. And if I use Zippo fluid, I'm gonna have to refill it at least every 2 weeks or every week because of evaporation. So this is nice in that butane's not going to evaporate, because when I have this lid closed, there's a switch here on the can that pulls the butane valve shut so that it won't light up because no gas is coming out. So it's nice and convenient. It's relatively inexpensive. You get it online for like $15. And you can actually, because it's a soft flame Zippo and it has a flint wheel, you can actually do tricks with this. You know, unlike with the jet one where you have to hold down the button in order to keep it going, this one you don't have to. So you can do tricks, and then you can just do manipulations while the Zippo is lit. This one I also got as a birthday gift. It's probably one of my favorite Zippos, and I have never used this. You can see it's kind of in an old style Zippo box, and that's because it's a 1941 replica. And I really like this. It's actually a brushed chrome replica, and you can see like the faces are brushed and then the sides are high polish. I really like the design of this, and this may eventually become one of my everyday carry lighters where I won't use for tricking. I actually find the replicas aren't that great for tricking because they have a completely open hinge. So you see with normal Zippo, when you open it, the cap, you know, the hinge doesn't unfold all the way, so the cap is never sitting flush with the body. With the replicas, it's different in that because the hinge style is different. These are actually 4-barrel hinges versus the 5 barrels on new Zippos. It opens all the way, and it makes it a little more difficult to trick with, because normally when I do spin tricks, I rely on this gap here to get my fingers around, and when it's not like that, it's very easy for the lighter to become unbalanced in between your fingers and for you to drop the lighter. But you know, it's a really cool looking lighter, just because it's not, you know, you can see like just the general shape of it. The faces are a little bigger, and curves are just, there's like more curves, and I don't know, I just think it's a cool lighter overall. And I actually kind of want to collect some of the old replicas. They come in like several different years of replicas, but I just never really got around to it. Let's just find the lid, losing track of stuff. And then the latest Zippo I got, once again for a birthday gift. My birthday was, you know, the beginning of July. I finally got one of these armor case Zippos. It's a high polish chrome armor case, and you know, for anyone who doesn't know about the armor case, this actually came out maybe, I want to say 8 years ago. It was maybe like a year or 2 after I started doing Zippo tricks, where it came out the armor line. And what they did this was the case was actually 1.5 times thicker than a regular Zippo, and it made engraving into it look really nice, because you can engrave really deep and you can do different depths of engraving, and you have a contrast in it. They're cool. They weigh a lot more. You can actually hear the cam just doesn't have the same ping as a regular Zippo, just because of how thick the material is. The only problem with this is they never upgraded the hinge, and it's the same exact hinge as on a regular Zippo. And on a regular Zippo, the hinge is already the weakest point for doing tricks. And honestly, when you're starting to swing this heavier lighter around, the hinge will wear out faster. I'm not gonna trick with this. You know, I did some squeezes with it, but because it's heavier and because the hinges, you know, they didn't beef it up, I can't see myself really using this as a Zippo tricking Zippo. I believe that they came out with some limited edition armor ones. At first it wasn't going to become a regular run, but I think they just came out with a line of armor Zippos instead. But when they first introduced it, it was supposed to be a limited run. So yeah, that's basically my Zippo collection. You know, it's not really that many, but it's a good amount, I guess. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing my collection, and I hope you guys learned something about the different finishes for Zippos. And thanks for watching.